people's property as a sound buffer for a business.
Okay, well, what if we said it was 35 decibels at a property line? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't gotten into that.
Well, I know, but see, that's, well, and I agree, I'm not gonna go with like, what Paul was trying to beat me up on earlier, I understand, you have to look it up. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
I'm not gonna do
Thank
that. I didn't like that either, so I'm appreciative of that one. Go ahead, oh, Teresa's next, I think.
Okay, you've got a limit that's set out at like 4,000 feet at a certain amount because people's homes and structures and properties are about there from wherever this wind turbine exists. What's going on closer to that? What happens if somebody decides to build a home there? Or does that then preclude the fact that we won't be building homes there because you can't meet the standards of livability within that area? I mean, how does that work for new development within that area?
Either there's mitigation waivers, some of the other land that we're talking about for this, in this one situation is in tree growth tax law or marginally buildable due to terrain anyway, because the slopes are too steep.
So under no circumstances do you feel that people will actually develop that land, move into that land, and have to mitigate that at some point because
Well, I don't know about, I have to look at the actual contour map
500
for
feet
this
to the
particular.
turbines, how loud are they, you know?
Well, there's no, I don't think there's, I think the property line, you have to be at least double the turbine setback. I don't know, what's the closest property line on this particular project?
1,300 feet
Right, so the closest one on this one is 1,300 feet. Is that with or without mitigation?
without,
So there's a 1,300 distance on one without mitigation. But I think it's tree growth tax law and it's steep. So I don't think you could build on it anyway.
Ever?
Well, I'm not saying ever, because obviously the technology changes over
The tree growth
time.
farm kind of things where the tree growth thing is, if I'm not mistaken, it's sort of like something you do with the state for a certain length of time? Or is that,
It's like a,
10 years.
is it,
It was a 10-year plan.
you have to have a 10-year management plan for it, but I mean, it's, you
so
have,
once you decide to change that as a property owner, because if you change lands, you're not necessarily, I believe, obligated to follow the previous owner's whatever.
right, you gotta
So
pay
if
back
people-
taxes, you gotta,
So the question then is how, does that reduce the value of the property? Is there any compensation for any of that? Will there be questions about that from any future landowners? And I just got questions, because the planning board's with the plane. He says what I heard.
Paul had her hand up next.
So you're proposing to take woodchuck off the prohibited list.
I thought we already did that.
That's,
That was at the request
that's
of the
part of
landowner.
this.
Yeah, that was a question.
That was a couple years ago, I thought.
That happened before
No.
the first one.
What?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I wish I had a copy of the first
I don't know.
report.
Well, it was the second, even that in the 2011, but that was a request on the landowner.
In 2011, we took,
Woodchuck off, I thought.
Yeah.
did we have much discussion about that?
I think it was a vote here at the town hall. John Williams was
I
really
was
upset about it.
writing those
John Williams.
Yeah, those changes, and I don't remember writing that in.
What's that?
Gives us to the town.
Yeah, he was gonna
Oh,
sue us and we took it off.
Put it in protection. They,
He was, I believe, I don't remember the exact thing, Debbie is recalling, he said he was gonna sue us. I believe it came off in 2011, and that when we updated it, we went down to, from 40 to 35, that like, those like 3 or 4 or 5 changes that we made that year, those all happened at the same time.
I believe that the 2011 ordinances posted on your website has woodchuck listed under prohibited sites.
No,
It isn't on there. Dave, can you bring it up?
What's the, what article is it in, Paula? I forget.
14.
Where am I looking?
You're looking under the existing ordinances.
yes,
So
we're gonna go back.
You're gonna go to,
Go to the home page, you can get it.
the Clifton Land Use Ordinances, Clifton Land Use Ordinances, click on that. Come down,
Way down.
come down, keep coming, keep
Down the
going,
bottom.
keep going, keep going, right there, up, right there.
Okay, where am I going? Article 14.
Article 14.
See if you, can you do a right mouse click and search on that somewhere?
It's,
Let's see.
Or find or something? No,
this is a damn
Yeah,
Microsoft thing.
yeah, no, I know.
Right at the top says search the document.
It's under,
Yeah, on the upper right.
Upper right,
Where?
a little
down,
lower,
down,
little
down.
into the left.
There you go.
There's some-
Oh,
Nope, there you go.
Just type in woodchuck right there.
How much wood for them?
I think you just hit return, it'll do it.
Yeah. Hit the eyeglass, the magnifying glass.
I don't hear Jeopardy music yet.
Well, this is really a lot of fun.
Is it, you hit the little down arrow maybe?
Prohibited scenic resource.
It's highlighted, it's not,
Yeah. No, that's because it's the search term.
Brings it up.
So it isn't now, and so it didn't get taken out. I thought it had gotten removed.
I'm sure, yeah.
because I printed it off from the other day and it said woodchuck.
Well, you're right. I could have
Is that the
sworn.
official one from the office?
Do you have your hard copy with you tonight?
You got your hard copy?
Well, yeah, this has nothing to do with this.
No, I know. He was just upset because his property had been, identified.
There's no turbine within 2,500 feet of it anyway.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No, there isn't, not even close.
Scenic resources.
4,000 feet even.
Is there a different place in here where it's identified in the entire ordinance?
Where else is it?
In another article?
G, okay, sorry.
All right, continue searching?
No, are you sure if you want to, but I think that's the only time.
Yeah.
Oh, it is still on this one. I thought we had it taken out.
It was definitely at a town meeting, so maybe what you can do, Debbie, it would have been like a 2011 spring meeting. If you could go back and
I still have the copies.
well, I have the original copies of the old ordinance, but what I'm interested in is the vote
No, I
copy.
mean, I have the copy of the revisions, and I'm sure the town report has them in there too.
Right, well, she'll just have to go back and look and see if we voted on it or not, what the vote was.
I know there's a lot of articles. in
Right.
that year.
She'll look it up and she'll get back to us with an answer, and it's good that you picked that up. I could have sworn it was taken out, but I could be,
I know John requested it, I thought he did.
yeah, I thought so too, but obviously it's sitting up there, and we're wrong.
I know he made a big complaint about it, but I didn't think we changed it.
Well, Debbie will go look it up for us. That was not part of quote unquote this ordinance change. We thought that had already been done. I think we're down to, you know what, actually I have Jared True's here. Let's see if this is what he already said. Oh, okay, no, this hasn't been written yet. Okay, this is from Jared. Article 18 of the proposed land use ordinance defines scenic resources as meaning a scenic resource as named in the Clifton Comprehensive Plan. Peaked Mountain, Little Peaked Mountain, Parks Pond Bluff, Eagle Bluff. The Clifton Comprehensive Plan states under the heading scenic areas, the views from the top of Peaked Mountains, Parks Pond Bluff, Eagle Bluff, and Woodchuck Hill have for centuries attracted residents and visitors alike. These are scenic resources which are as valuable as our town's culture, as its forest industry and the community character. Can you explain why the planning board chose to omit listing Woodchuck Hill in the Article 18 definition for a scenic resource, which we just talked about, we'll look into it. Article 18, which provides definitions relevant to the land use ordinance, lists the term noise, but does not provide a definition. Does the planning board not agree with the generally accepted definition of the word noise, i.e. unwanted sound? On March 20th, 2014, the planning board posted a response to articles linked on the information page of the CPB's website. This response from the planning board reads, many journals indicate more research is required. However, the growing body of evidence around the world suggests there is no physical reason why there should be issues with sound levels at 40 dBA and lower. Why then shouldn't Clifton's LUO allow sound levels to exceed 40 dBA under normal circumstances, i.e. the greater of L90A pre plus 5 or 35 dBA and the greater value of L90A pre plus 10 dBA or 40 dBA? Next question. Do the proposed revisions of the Clifton Land Use Ordinance differentiate a medical marijuana dispensary cultivation facility from a medical marijuana caregiver's cultivation facility? Given that the board states the board will not be taking on the issue of quarries between now and June, however, this and some other items asked by John Williams will be worked between June and the meeting next March. Would it be wise for the planning board to consider a moratorium on such activities to provide a time frame for these issues to be addressed? According to the proposed land use ordinance, the sound produced by a small under 100 kW wind energy system as measured at the property line shall not exceed 5 dBA above the ambient sound levels, whereas an industrial wind energy facility is only limited to the greater of 5 dBA above ambient sound at a home or 35 dBA. The sound limit for an industrial wind energy facility at property lines is a 10 dBA increase over ambient. What is the planning board's rationale in making a stricter ordinance for residential scale windmills than for industrial wind energy facilities? So we'll answer those next week as well, and I'll get the stuff scanned in and get it posted. So I have another one here.
That's Jesse's. Carry that.
Oh, okay, sure, I read this.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to probably leave these with you, to be honest with you. Well, or I can just take them home and scan them and bring them back tomorrow, because I have to bring you Peter's hard copy too. Just so you know, we have a 100 megabyte limit, I think, on that website, and we're at like 66%. And if I get like a typewritten document, it only is like about between 75 and maybe 100K PDF. But when I have to scan these, it's like about 700 PDF, even when I scan it on the lowest setting. So anybody who can provide written documents, it takes up less space on the website than it does otherwise. But still, I have 44 megs left, so okay.
That comprehensive plan, that's already on your website, so you don't need to put that in.
Okay, thanks.
Eric, Bill had something.
Yeah, I'm just getting down to Bill. So Bill, you have.
Thank you. Sure. Before I begin, my name's Bill Rand. I got some comments that I'd just like to address and maybe ask a couple of people a couple of questions. First of all, I just got down on the planning board about 3 weeks ago. It was the end of my term. I've experienced a high level of frustration working with this ordinance changes, especially Article 14, and it's been like a little dance. The dance is that you get asked a question, but you've got to really think through the question because it's not the answer they want to hear. It's really frustrating to be working through these parts because I'm not so sure that the task force really wants to make a safer ordinance, but an ordinance that does not allow wind turbines or a wind energy facility in the town of Clifton. I'm convinced of that. A couple of quick questions on comments that were made earlier. Paula, you said that the planning board all along has not vetted, the ordinance, and we've rushed it, and I've been on the I was on the planning board for about 8 years. This board has been meeting since January, every week, sometimes 2 to 3 hours a week. 4 of the 5 members have full-time jobs. And look how far we've got. It would take this would never get, ordinance would never get done. I mean, you who you're retired yourself, did not have as much time as you put into it. You didn't have enough time. So we just did the best that we could under the circumstances that were granted us. And that's all you can hope for. Some things will slip through, some things will not work. That's why you have amendments after the fact. But I just think to myself how overwhelming it's been just to go through these individual articles, how we talk about, you get to an interesting article like Article 14, but how many nights did we sit going through definitions and page numbers after page numbers and just correcting that? So I want to bring that up. Jessica, I'm a little confused on what you brought up in your last comments about Judge Horton's comments. Do you feel that because Judge Horton said that there should be ISO contour maps, that that's what we should be striving to have in the ordinance?
Is this a public hearing for the ordinance?
Well, we kind of, yes, what we did, just to be kind of clear with Jessica about this, the original format is just people come up and talk, and then we don't say anything. But because we don't really have a lot of speakers, and because we're a small town, and we really do want to be open, and I've actually feel like tonight has been some good dialogue. I really appreciate how it's going. As long as we can answer the questions calmly, but if she doesn't want to answer a question, she doesn't have to.
I think this has been the best meeting I've attended yet. I mean, I wish Jared was still here. There were some solid questions tonight. There was a lot of information that's come out. Good questions, good answers from the board. It's been well handled, but I'm just a little confused. I'm not asking you a loaded question, but I mean, we just had Mr. Wallace talk about why ISO contour maps can not happen. You can't have them. And then you brought up in your comments that because Judge Horton said that it was in the ordinance, and I don't think Judge Horton's a qualified sound engineer. So I'm just trying to get a little feedback from you.
And you don't have to answer, Jessica, if you don't want to.
Thank you for your opinion.
Okay, very good. And Paula, you also mentioned that, when we're addressing all these changes and making wholesale changes to the ordinance, why didn't we just address the ISO contour map part and just make that one change, then going all through that? Well, if we had known that from the beginning, yes, that would have been an easy fix, but all we've heard from the task force is sound, sound, sound. But every time that we make an adjustment to the sound or answer your concerns, it's not enough. And so I want to just go into what I actually wrote now after that. All right. We all know the history of how the town has voted and how the planning board set out to create an ordinance that would be fair to all developers and at the same time protect the well-being of all the citizens in town. A group of citizens led by one family has fought this project from day one. The planning board has bent over backwards to accommodate them with all their concerns and even proposed to adjust the ordinance so that the sound level requirements drop to 35 dBA at 4,000 feet. Keep in mind that the planning board has never, in all the evidence presented to it, had any scientific evidence presented to us that sound would cause harmful effects from distances greater than 4,000 feet, which our ordinance covers. We've never had any data submitted to us that would indicate that there are potential issues, health issues beyond that. We have seen and studied a lot of evidence that sound from wind turbines might cause harmful effects at distances less than 2,800 feet. And to that end, I'm kind of bringing up Mars Hill. Bruce and I made a trip up to Mars Hill. The thing that I realized, and this kind of goes earlier to what everybody was talking about, that the ambient wind is actually more often than not louder than the turbine noise. When Bruce and I got up there and we set up Bruce's sound monitoring equipment, it was a pretty, what would you say, 5 to 10 miles per hour that particular day, Bruce, was the wind speed?
Probably around, yeah. Yeah, it was a little hard to tell at some places it varied.
What overruled any sound from the turbines was the ambient wind itself. going through the trees, going through the, across the snowbanks. We couldn't hear the turbines. We went all the way around the mountain. We saw on the easterly side where the homes were close to 2,800 feet. We didn't see any homes that were for sale. There were times when you could hear the turbines, but never consistently, constantly. And they were never annoying to us on that day that we went up there. Bruce has since discovered there's actually been a couple of homes that have actually gone under construction, or new homes, since the turbines have gone up. It's less than, I don't know how close they were to the mountain, but you recall how close that new construction was?
I don't remember at this point, but it was under 3,000 feet. You can, if you do Google Earth and then use the timeline, you can see where houses have been built.
Okay. All the residents on the easterly side of Mars Hill, between the mountain range and Canada, have been mitigated now, and according to the town manager, everything's fine with these people. So, like I said, we were there, the most noise we heard at all at any given time when we were on that back road was a chainsaw that was running at a residence.